Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated returning to the office the morning after the night before we had the inaugural bowl, and just as things were kicking off, gunfire broke out, and Bernard Cercas, the leader, I believe, of the Communist Party, was shot dead. So we have a report, the security report to read, and an emergency meeting to deal with. Thank you to everybody who's been joining in and watching these videos. I'm really enjoying this series, this game, and looking forward to some of the other games that are coming in the expanding Suzerain world. There's quite a lot of them earmarked at the moment, including the kind of the disco-like CRPG. But thank you to everybody who's been leaving comments. I did ask at the end of the last episode if people wanted me to read everything or just deal with the important stuff. Everything it is. And thank you to people who've been leaving comments about the Reddit article I posted where somebody said that the closest real-world figure to Tarquain Soll that they knew or that they could think of was Éamon de Valera. So a lot of people in that article and a lot of people leaving comments on the video have said that Ataturk is a much better comparison, and I would agree with that. But interesting that somebody could see De Valera, while others saw Ataturk in Tarquain Soll. But anyway, let's continue on. We're going to start with the report. Security measures at the capital have been heightened after the murder of Bernard Cercas. So it's being treated as, well, yeah, it was a murder of Cercas, but I wonder, was it an assassination attempt on the president? Was it a move against the presidency? The mayor of Hullsword reports that everything is under control. Everything's fine, guys. Everything is fine. Security around the Maroon Palace has been increased with the combined efforts of the Hullsword Police Department and the Presidential Guard. Additionally, the entrance procedures to the palace are being revised with advice from security professionals. The police chief, Karl Greiser, reported that an investigation has been launched on the murder of Bernard Cercas. The mood in the Situation Room was gloomy, I imagine. We have a whole heap of people, including some that we haven't met before. I believe this is the head of Defense. Oh, it's the Minister for Defense and the Minister for Justice. And then we have Lilas, our Minister for the Interior, Peter Vectron, our good friend and Vice President, and Lucien Gilad. So who else am I thinking of? Your man, the manager, the guy who told us to buy shares. He usually shows up at these meetings. The cabinet members were gathered to discuss the shooting outside the palace. Lilas presented the initial report. Bernard Cercas was shot dead at 9:03 p.m. in front of the palace gates. He was an elected independent member of Assembly and, as you know, a famous communist. But that's right, he was a short story writer, a playwright, a novelist. She spat the last word out with some distaste. The guards at the scene were 50 meters away and immediately took action by responding and killing the assailant, who was identified as a member of the nationalist organization, the Young Swords. So they have a puck goat, a right-wing nationalist political organisation with alleged connections to a number of armed attacks against the Swordish government. So close ties to the National Front Party, and they were formed by Lutheran, staunchly pan-Swordish. In the early 30s, the Young Swords have managed to extend their area of operation into Swordish-speaking, post-revolution Valgsland. And most people suspect the Young Swords to be part of the Old Guards, who we are going to be pushing against in an attempt to secure control of the Supreme Court. The President and his family were unharmed. Praise God. Yeah, I'm here. I'm right here. I'm fine. An MP shot near the palace? That is absolutely unacceptable. What were the motivations for such a horrid act? But why Cercas? So I wasn't the target? It's all about me. What were the motivations? Our investigators are suspecting a political assassination since the Young Swords have been threatening the communists for some time. This may well create a dangerous atmosphere where the left versus right political violence of the 1920s could spark off once again. A return to those days would be devastating. The coups are the reason why our country stagnated for a decade. So the Minister for Justice, Nia, sighed. Nia Morgana, or Morgna. Attorney from Bergia, a member of the United Sordland Party. It's the way to go to push your career. Strong critic of Tarquain Soll's programs and vocal about her opposition to the Supreme Court's authority on state matters. Due to her expertise on Swordish law, she was appointed by Ewald Alfonso as Vice Minister for Law in 49. So this is somebody who's going to be very useful to us, very helpful. She's regarded as one of the most experienced attorneys who worked for the government. She eventually gave her support to Anton Rain, and was appointed as the Minister for Justice and Law in 53. A very good decision, I think. So the Red Youth have condemned the killing, but didn't stop there. They promised revenge. This will, in turn, spark further aggression from the Young Swords. The whole cycle started because Bernard Circasse expressed his views. We can't simply look away. Nia has always been one of the only members of the Justice Ministry truly deserving of the name. She had survived countless attacks on her character while fighting corruption within the ministry, and rising to power had only compounded her sense of moral duty. Freedom of expression is part of our constitution. We can't have anyone, let alone an MP, shot for voicing different opinions. Or vicing different opinions. I fully agree. We should protect freedom of speech. The Malignavist ideology of the Red Youth poses threats to our country too. We should be cautious. There's good guys on both sides. We will protect freedom of speech. I fully agree. We should protect freedom of speech. Our laws do, and for good reason. Silencing voices only results in fear and stagnation inside society. We had that before, and know very well how it was. I hear your concerns. You don't, do you? I hear your concerns. Our police do their best to uphold the rights of our citizens. We will prevent such an act from happening again by making sure our security measures are re-evaluated. Minister for Defence, Iosif Lancia, you devil, you gave out to me once upon a time, in the Civil War. I don't know why I don't like you, but I don't like you. He grunted in approval. He towered over the rest of us in full military uniform. His many war medals conspicuously on display. Okay, we get it, Iosif. Could you not have just worn the ribbons? Did you actually have to wear the badge, the medals themselves? Agreed, ma'am. Our gendarmerie will also help boost security in rural areas where possible. There might be more violence to come. Are you promising us violence? So it's an armed law enforcement organization which maintains security, safety, in air quotes, and public order, in air quotes, in rural regions of Sordland. Right, this should be the Army Comrades Association. What could go wrong? We should refrain from making the issue a political one from the start. It will only add fuel to the fire. Interesting. But it is political, though. Yes, but we need to calm the country. That's a good point. If we take sides, we could escalate the situation. So there are good guys on both sides. There aren't any sides. The state versus its enemies. Several police cars rush past the Maroon Palace and everyone went silent. Regardless, a full investigation into all involved parties is underway. We will find the subversives and punish them soon enough, Mr. President. I'll do my best to help coordinate the administrative tasks. Good man, Peter. Peter's always on fire after he's had his morning tequila. Justice will be served and the rule of law will return to this country stronger than ever. Only if we stay vigilant as a country. We must think about the upcoming budget. Somebody wants money for tanks. It is too soon to jump to conclusions. Reckless acts will have dire consequences. I agree. Internal stability must be maintained. Our security funding might need to be increased. We should not lose sight of our real political goals, like the constitutional reforms. So what I'm trying to do is play a kind of an Ireland-themed playthrough. Some areas that's going to be more heavily, that's going to feature more heavily than in others. Kind of inspired by the recent election of Catherine Connolly as President of Ireland. So what would we be thinking? I think it's probably too soon to jump to conclusions, which might be a bit silly. In that, I mean, there's an MP dead. There's a lot of and somebody has claimed responsibility for it. There's a lot of conclusions that have concluded, but I still think that is the approach that would be taken. Too soon to jump to conclusions. Let's wait until we have all the facts. We need to be patient until we have the full picture. There you go. Lucien took some notes after checking the latest newspapers and reports. Oh, somebody's going betting on the horses. It seems that the tensions between the communists and the nationalists will escalate further. It will be very difficult to pass any meaningful change if there is chaos in the country. We can't pass any constitutional reform in such an atmosphere. We can't fix the recession if there isn't stability. We will make it through this and deliver on our promises. Constitution. No use worrying about it now. Let's analyse the effects first. We will cross that bridge when we come to it. This will be it for today then. We will convene again soon. Thank you all, and keep us updated. Let's circle back. The meeting concluded and the ministers left the room. With concerned looks, it was hard to anticipate what would happen next. So this is my first time seeing this big continue button at the bottom. Can we bring up newspapers? We have Sordland today. MP shot. Nation in shock. And Rain, that's me, welcomes Richter's words. So delighted that we have a potential ally in Friends Richter. And we have the condemnation, or not the condemnation, the Red Youth has reported to have promised revenge. This seems like it has potential to be a spark that would swirl Sordland into political violence. Murder at the palace. I haven't heard any of their... I've heard of the band, but I haven't heard any of their songs, or I wouldn't be able to tell you a Murder at the Palace song if I heard one. A prominent independent MP, known for his communist romanticism, has been murdered, leaving the Maroon Palace grounds after the inauguration ball. It hadn't even started. It was 9:03. Peter was only like halfway through a bottle of brandy. It wasn't even... The night hadn't even started. And as to be expected, stability has taken just a bit of a dip. What with having MPs shot outside the palace. So we have a few days later. We have 7 pieces of news. We have lots of reports from around the place. Let's take a look at the newspapers quickly. So the Hull Sword Post, Swordish politician shot dead. He is said to have repeatedly received threats from Swordish nationalists who viewed him as a traitor for promoting Malinievism in Sordland. Television footage showed the famous poet's body lying face down, draped with a white sheet on the pavement in front of the gates of the Maroon Palace. Lilas Graff, the Interior Minister, said that she had assigned a group of leading ministry officials to lead the hunt for the killers. Now, wasn't one of them killed? Yes, one of them was killed. So I wonder, is it like... I thought he acted alone in the killing, so maybe they're looking for organisers. Once again, dark hands have chosen our country and spilled blood in Hull Sword to achieve their dark goals. His funeral will be held tomorrow in his home city. Unity, despite differences. So Sordland has 2 paths to the future, and this year is critical to decide which path we embark on. Amid a recession, the lack of stability... Stability's fine. Shut up. And security caused by the death of Bernard Cercas, it is an unacceptable reality. We need more jobs and a safe atmosphere in our country, or if our country is supposed to grow and prosper. The only way out of recession, bailing out businesses. Ooh, not a popular one. Sordland's economy has been displaying a downward trend over the past 2 years of Alfonso's presidency. If we want to prevent our country from declaring bankruptcy, we need a way out of this recession, and we need it now. The economic downturn keeps hitting hard at the businesses, which are struggling to stay afloat. It is clear that a helping hand from the government is required to control the situation. There is no other way, apart from bailing out businesses, to truly provide relief for the economy. This in turn should revitalise the economy. It should, shouldn't it? I don't think bailouts for truly valuable and deserving businesses. That is what we would, I imagine, a Catherine Connolly style presidency would go for. The banks? Oh, the devils. Murder was a method of the past. So protests of Maniacal groups quickly turned into riots around the country. We were calling for peaceful protests and dialogue. So is this... we are calling for... I thought this might be a Maniacal paper, but definitely not. These guys described it as communist romanticism. A member of the Young Swords assassinating a member of Assembly clearly shows that they are willing to use extreme actions, said Franz Richter in his speech in the Grand National Assembly. Richter's unifying message is something that we should all listen to in these times of danger. Farewell. So yeah, I was thinking the Radical would be the pro-Bernard Cercas paper. It is a sad moment for Sordland. We have lost a renowned poet who not only wrote about the struggles of the working class, but also acted on them. However, his decision to enter Swordish politics was met with a sick attack that ended his life. This was indeed intended as a message to all opposing voices in Sordland. We, the team here at The Radical, condemn this evil act of terror of the Young Swords. I'm wondering, is there any mention of the... Was it the Red Youth? What's the... who's threatened revenge? He is now a man who was murdered for speaking his mind. This cannot remain as yet another political murder of the sad reality of Sordland. In fact, it is time to change this. The most beautiful sea hasn't been crossed yet, said the great poet, reminding us to always have hope. And geopolitical, labour unions drive further decentralised economic growth, empower workers. Good heavens, that's gonna upset some people. So that's... And then we have our Cassian PMC descends on Maribone amid resource extraction controversy. I'm sure that won't impact anyone ever. Let's take a quick look at the reports coming in from around the place. Communist Party leader suspected of a bomb attack. Milt Hanner has been arrested due to an event. Martine van Hoorten requests a fair re-evaluation of existing treaties in future negotiations. He complained about that in the past, didn't he? Smollett warns traitors. Viktor Smollett has demanded that the border security be increased, warned us regarding a pathway from the mountains of Bergia that allow traitors of the state escaping to Sordland. Soll Dam at maximum capacity. Dam Soll, you mean? Has reached maximum capacity. The dam is a crucial element. So there's a couple of electricity places around the place that are going to cause some trouble. Illegal KA-74s. A cache found with Rumburg-made weapons, including 47 brand new KA-74s, 2,854 bullets, 12 handguns, 27 grenades, and bomb-making equipment. Boys, oh boys, that sounds like a party. No suspects have been detained. So, do they have a full... Oh wow, they have a full entry on the actual... the actual weapon. Police overburdened in Estord. Police commissioner has requested reinforcements. I think there was something... No, it was a mayor in the region was asking us for support at one stage. Reports of BFF activity in the capital. So that's the Bludish Freedom Front. 2 women with affiliations to the movement have been caught in Hallsword. They were both listed as wanted criminals and enemies of the state. They admitted their intentions to attack the National Front Party. Well, that's not terrible. Weapons seized in cultural center. So a wardrobe full of heavy military equipment has been seized in a young sword's cultural center. Why do these divils need cultural centers? What kind of culture are they teaching? Oh no, don't answer that. Don't answer that in the comments. The police captured 22 rifles and 2 machine guns. The equipment belonged to the Swordlish Armed Forces, dated to 1929, but kept in very good condition. We have police understaffed. Illegal firearms found in Communist Party office. Illegal. That's a strong term to use. Young Sword's Youth Wing leader dead after terror attack. Local Young Sword's Youth Wing leader in Suzerain, Iak Torin, has claimed responsibility for the organised attack in the British market that resulted in the death of 7. His base of operations have been raided and he was found dead inside with 2 bullet wounds to the back of the head. Ah, suicide. Yes. Communist Party leader suspected of bomb attack. So we're back to the start. Hell's bells. Hell's bells. I don't believe we have any other issues to deal with in the surrounding areas. We will descend on Hallsword. We have a security briefing on the threats against Sordland. Dinner with the family at home. We'll go for the owl. There's no point reading a report on a full stomach. I arrived in front of the doors leading to the Situation Room. Today's security briefing was arranged in 2 parts, starting with internal matters and moving on to external matters after a short break. The Minister of the Interior, Lelis Graf, and the Minister for Justice and Law, Nia Morgna, would join us for the first part, the Law and Enforcement briefing. For the second part, the Minister of Defence, Iosif Lancia, would join with a few high-ranking officials, including the Chief of the Armed Forces, Valken Kruger. I opened the door. Lucian, Nia, and Lilas rose from their seats. Sir, let us begin. Yeah, please take your seats. Everyone in the room sat down except for Lucian. Lucian, goddammit, I will not tolerate insubordination. He put on his glasses and went through the documents in front of him shortly after he raised his head to address the attendees. Mr. President, ladies, we will kick off today's meeting with the internal security briefing. I'm assuming everyone has already seen or has already been over the agenda. I have totally been over the agenda, Lucian, absolutely, but just a quick recap, please. As we feared, the political atmosphere has worsened. The reports around the country indicate that tensions are rising, as we feared. What is the status on the Bernard Cercas investigation? I've received news this morning that the investigation into the murder of Bernard Cercas has concluded. Great, I'm eager to hear about the details. Please enlighten us. Yeah, please enlighten us, come on. After further investigation and testimonies, we have confirmed the motive and also the events leading up to the shooting. A few days prior, members of the Red Youth initiated a violent attack on a Young Swords local leader in Jen. We believe the Young Swords then called for revenge, leading to the death of Mr. Cercas. Since he often spoke against the Young Swords and nationalist sentiments in the Assembly, he was a big target, not to mention his radical communist views. Political violence needs to stop. He had it coming then. Radical? Sordland has lost a great writer. For what? Not to mention his radical communist views. It's going to be 1 or 3. I think we'd be incensed at the loss of a great writer, and somebody who I think soldiered with us in the Civil War. It is unfortunate, but it was likely that an incident would happen. Lelis handed over the report and pointed at a highlighted section in the document. The investigation revealed a very troubling fact. The funding sources of the Red Youth have a clear link to United Cantana, those devils. So it's a featherless socialist republic situated on the continent of Cantana. Those communist devils. Are you sure? This is proof that they are meddling in our affairs. What does that mean? that the communist superpower is meddling in our... Well, there you go. Several Red Youth members with ties to United Contana have been detained, and the information extracted from them points to a preparation for a communist uprising in Sordland. It isn't unusual for the superpowers to influence other nations, but I think this case is a little far-fetched. The left lacks popular support in Sordland. Nia eagerly lifted her hand. I motioned for her to speak. I went over the report in detail. It would be wrong to jump to conclusions about a clear foreign interference yet. United Contana has humanitarian and cultural ties with many countries, including Sordland. I trust Miss Graff's judgment. I also don't want to jump to conclusions immediately. We shouldn't create a crisis with them. Nearly 3 decades ago, they funded General Ricard and tried to establish a communist dictatorship in our country. If it was not for Colonel Soll, we would have seen the real crisis. I served under Ricard, didn't know. I can't remember who I served under. I served somebody. He was shot during the Battle of Hullsword, which resulted in the victory of Colonel Tarquain Soll's 6th Army, marking the end of the Civil War. How many sides were there in the Civil War? She took a sip from her glass of water and continued. I think it was definitely Tarquain Soll that I served, but I thought Soll served Ricard for a period of time. Maybe he did, and then turned against him. Our police chief, Karl Greiser, has linked the funding channel to the United Contana consulate in Benfey. As we all know, the enemies of Sordland are many, but we also have threats inside the country. We need to remain vigilant. As the government, we have all the power to deal with any threat. Our country always had issues. This is part of the job. We need to remain vigilant. If we give up essential freedoms to purchase temporary security, we deserve neither freedoms nor security. This is debatable, but yes, we know what more security and surveillance caused to the country under President Soll. Let's not forget that President Soll, God bless him, brought stability for a long period of bloodshed and chaos. But moving on, not to fangirl over Tarquain Soll or anything, our highest internal threat comes from the estimated 20,000 Bludish Freedom Front, led by the imprisoned Wlaine Arg. They are a banned political organisation, now a militant force, that is trying to incite radical violence. I wonder what's the size of our army. He's been a political prisoner since his arrest in 1944. He used to be the leader of the BFF between 35 and 44. He is being held in the Antel Rock prison. After the cancellation of the first ever elections in Sordland by Lutheran and the subsequent civil war in 27, he wanted to fight against the military coup by joining the Sordish armed forces under the leadership of Ricard, but was denied entry due to his ethnicity. This prompted him to return to Bergia to organise the Bludish populace to also join the civil war with their own militia army, but couldn't gather enough support. Between 35 and 44, he was behind many armed attacks against Sordish military, Sordish police, as well as civilians. He was finally arrested in 44 and sent to a rock prison, built in 41 under a security directive of Tarquain Soll's interior ministry. Traitors, terrorists and subversives are all imprisoned and questioned in this daunting facility that only had one successful escape attempt. I don't know, did I see whereabouts that might be? I thought it was up in this direction. I'm sure we might get a look at it at some stage. So they make a lot of noise but have little substance. A barking dog doesn't bite. Are they supported by our Bludish citizens? Are they cooperating with any Bludish political organizations? Are they supported by our Bludish citizens? To some extent. Luckily, they couldn't attract a wide audience of Bloods, but they could potentially attract thousands if anti-Bludish sentiment spread in Sordland again. Lilas pointed to page 3 of the report. Our intelligence intercepted 2 crates filled with weapons close to the Hrumburg border. They were filled with military-grade Ka-74s. We expect that more have been smuggled in. A group of Bloods were caught with these guns at a checkpoint not far away. So the Bloods are bringing in the weapons from Rumburg. Oh, the devils. The governor of Bergia, Felix Bronn, is already taking the necessary measures to counter the threat. That's how you know somebody's important, is if they have a picture. Military career began under Lutheran. He joined the ranks of the King's Intelligence Service. Initially a moderate on racial issues, Bronn adopted a hardline nationalist stance after the Ism incident and the subsequent revolt in Bergia by the Bluish Freedom Front. That is where some people were shot to get the dam built. I think it may have been Bloods who were shot to get the dam built. Some protesters was shot by one of the soldiers. So a Bluish carpenter who was killed by Sordish soldiers. So Bronn is I'm sure he's taken the measures all right. Rumburg has been acting aggressively in the region for a long time. I'm not surprised that they would attempt to weaponize the Bluish people against us. This is worrying, very worrying. Can we make any direct correlations between the BFF and Rumburg? It was expected that Rumburg would undermine us, but this is too far. We need to keep level-headed with Rumburg. They are looking for reasons to take action. We can't let anyone meddle in our stability. We have to keep level-headed. They will play dirty while we play nice. It is a battle we will lose. This is grave news, but we must be careful not to stoke the fires of anti-Bluish sentiment. Unfortunately, Governor Bronn is directly causing the tensions to increase with his increasingly anti-Bluish stance. I must remind you, Governor Bronn is directly responsible for the arrest of Dwelin Arg, the previous leader of the BFF. It's true that his methods can be extreme at times, but it was his policies that kept the region peaceful over the last decade. Something tells me you'd have rathered Bronn to succeed. Tarquain Soll. He is misusing the powers given to him by Tarquain Soll. The insane authority of the governor is surely a root cause. It would be very difficult to revoke the special status of Bergia under the current circumstances, Miss Morgna. The presidents no longer have the authority Tarquain Soll enjoyed. God bless him. For now, yes, but with enough justification for it, it would be possible. Anyway, we will be discussing this at a later time. Tell me more about the Special Zone. Yeah, I want to hear about the Special Zone. Bergia has always been a region of chaos and trouble. We must be careful. I want to hear more about the Special Zone. So I'm reading the Codex entry and then getting some info from people. It's a special administrative region in Sordland covering the entirety of the region of Bergia. The headquarters of the zone is in Dire. That's where Sir Cass is going to be buried. And it's governed by an appointed governor, a special administrative position that only exists in Bergia. The current governor is Felix Bronn, and it was established during the critical era of President Tarquain Soll's emergency security program in 35. It was a direct response to the belligerence unleashed by the notorious Dwelin Arg. Well, then why hasn't it been lifted? He's in prison. Why don't we lift it? As you know, Bergia has given a special status by Tarquain Soll after the full-scale uprising by the BFF against the Sordish government in 35. Those couple years were disastrous for Bergia. Dwelin Arg and the BFF declared war on us, openly attacked our people, and occupied entire cities. It was a massive uprising, but I'd like to point out that the longest time they were in control of a city was 2 weeks. I wouldn't call that an occupation. Despite the arrest of Dwelin Arg in 44 and the BFF ceasing its activities, the special statuses of the region were never revoked. Today, the special zone of Bergia gives the governor insane amounts of authority. He was in trouble with the law before for not following the central government's authority. Unfortunately, Bergia also has its own police forces. Directly commanded by Governor Bronn. They are not part of my ministry and only cooperate. You were defending him a couple of minutes ago. This is the problem. Even though our forces have the authority to serve in Bergia, the special zone leaves the security of Bergia mostly in the hands of the governor. That leaves my hands tied. Well, if your hands are tied, it's good that the security is in his hands, because if they come out of his hands, we'll have to untie you. The discrimination Bergia suffers is maddening. We should find a way to revoke the special status of Bergia, one way or another. I'd rather not disturb the status quo. We must reverse the situation. It is absurd that the Ministry of the Interior doesn't have full control over Bergia's security. Governor Braun and his special powers deserve credit. The closest thing that we would have to this would be twice the Emergency Powers Act was invoked during the emergency, 1939 to 46, and the second time was to allow the government to introduce emergency legislation to deal with the IRA from the mid-1970s onwards. Now, the powers were... It's a weird one that I don't fully understand. The Emergency Powers Act was ended... Was it the mid-90s or was it 98? I can't remember. However, the Special Criminal Court is something that's left over from that. And it has to be voted on every single year by the Dáil to remain in place. It is a juryless court that is used to try... It was used to try people suspected of terrorism offences. And the idea was that it was juryless because, well, the government would say to protect the juries from being targeted by the terrorists. Opponents would say it was because people were sympathetic to the IRA's cause, and it would have been very difficult to find a jury that would have actually convicted people brought before it. Now, that court still actually remains in place today. Again, the government arguing that it's used to try special criminals, so people involved in gangland violence, who would again interfere with the justice system. So we're thinking of the people like the General, Martin Cahill, in the early 1990s. I think he was... I'd be surprised if he didn't come up before the Special Criminal Court at some stage. The likes of... I don't think Catherine Connolly is a fan of the Special Criminal Court. It has been criticised by Amnesty International and by some legal experts who don't like the idea of a juryless court. So even though the government has justifications for its existence, deserves credit for the current peace in the region, I think we're going to go with the discrimination it suffers is maddening. We should find a way to revoke the special status. I will do my best, Mr. President. What is the second most important threat? It is the gang violence that is threatening the Nargis and England regions. Two prominent organised crime families are at war. If only we had a special criminal court to deal with such people. Which two crime families? Why can't we just arrest them? The primary reason is deception and corruption. They infiltrated several government offices and the police. That's how they can evade us. They are playing with fire. I want them gone, for good. Lilas, I trust that you can handle them. They are insignificant, not worth our attention. Lilas, I trust you can handle them. I'm doing my best, sir. Lilas Graff sighed deeply. I shall be honest with you. With our current capabilities, we may not be able to prevent the further arming of separatists while maintaining order in Bergia, Nargis, and England. If the law enforcement budget isn't increased, everyone wants money. Guys, I got some good share advice. Once we go to the moon, everyone's going to get money. If the budget isn't increased, I can't be fully responsible for what happens. Our police units are spread thin as is. In light of this information, I might increase the law enforcement budget. We will rid our country from separatists and violent thugs if we do. I wish you would stop using the word thugs, Lilas. The real problem is corruption, which is fueling the gang violence, and is very likely the reason why these weapons were smuggled in. A higher budget could help us in that. Valid points. Corruption is the root of all evil, after all. Your ministry must tackle the issue with persistence, Miss Morgana. These threats seem more direct than a few bribes. Your ministry must tackle the issue, so absolutely we would seek to root out corruption. We are, but it needs all the attention it can get from our administration. Lilas and Nia were openly scowling at each other. Why? I thought they were in some bit of an agreement. Lilas turned back to the notes. Well, this concludes the topics for the internal portion. I thought they were in some bit of agreement, but it doesn't look like it. I think Justice wants money to handle corruption, and Lilas wants money to handle security and policing. Thank you for the updates, Miss Graff, Miss Morgana. Thank you for the overview. Ladies, please stop fighting. Have a good day. Until next time, bitch. Jesus, Lilas. The two ministers left the room. We took a short break before continuing to the second part. Upon invitation, Iosiflencia, along with 3 high-ranking officials from the Ministry of Defense carrying his medals, walked into the room. One of the men was none other than General Kruger, the chief of the armed forces. Iosif made his way towards the table while the others stood by the door. Mr. President. Iosif, welcome. I brought General Kruger with me. He had nothing better to do. I found him at a bus stop. He was waiting, just hanging around, being weird. General Kruger stepped forward and saluted. He had a strong jaw and sharp cheekbones. His tall stature, uniform, and medals. Oh my god, guys, come on, just wear the ribbons. Stop. Just like for state functions and things, wear the actual medals, but just wear the ribbons on the day-to-day. His tall stature, uniform, and medals, combined with his deep and intense stare, made him look threatening. He was in his 70s, yet he had a bulky body. That was a result of his commando training. Not only was he the second most decorated officer in Sordland, but he was also the longest serving. General Kruger. We'll shake his hand. In Ireland, the civilian government is the civilian government, so it doesn't ever salute back. There are some governments in which the head of government will salute the army and when they receive salutes and things like that, but nobody, not even the president, who's the president has supreme command of the defense forces, but they don't salute. So all you do is shake hands awkwardly, because they're saluting and you're putting out your hand to shake hands. It's kind of weird. Iosif tapped his foot impatiently. He seemed uneasy with the presence of another high-ranking officer in the room. Uh-oh, medal envy. Gentlemen, thanks for coming to this significant gathering. Let's begin. That's why we hunted all the women away, first of all. Now the men get to have the significant gathering. Iosif and Valken took their seats at the table while the rest of the officers stood by the door. Mr. President, the situation at the western and northern borders towards Rumburg is very tense. We are observing deployments of divisions closer to our border. Rumburg has been acting increasingly expansionist in the past decades and also interfered in Agnolia, but now they have turned their sights on us. I trust the capabilities of our armed forces to handle any threats. This concerns me very much. What is our current strategy? Patrolling close to the border with our border force and keeping army reserve divisions near. It seems like they want to increase the pressure both externally and internally. Mr. President, if I may. Go on. We won't say please, General, because that'll upset Iosif. Because we said welcome, Iosif, but then we said please, General. Now, of course, he probably, I imagine he's retired from the defense forces or the army, so he doesn't still have a military rank, but it would upset him. The picture is becoming clearer. The latest information from the interior about the weapons caches, or the weapons caches, are now there, and now there is an active military build-up close to our borders. The entire situation was analysed by our general staff, and our prediction is a future territorial incursion by Rumburg. I just see Helgeport all dashed out. The threat is exaggerated. With all due respect, I think you are underestimating what we could face. I require an increase in the military budget to enlist more soldiers. Only then we can stand strong against our enemies. The enlarged armed forces will hold them at bay. Vulcan is right. We do need an increase in the military budget, although we don't see eye to eye on exactly how to spend the budget. That much we agree on. I have my concerns about Rumburg too. We need strong allies to withstand such a superior power. They are our nemesis. That is an understatement. Times are changing and war is coming. Mr. President, whether we like it or not, we must be prepared. During the election, you said nothing about focusing on our military. I ask you to reconsider and to increase the military budget. The future and safety of Sordland is in your hands. As you said, times change, Yosef. We will see. A smile brought a glimmer of hope to Yosef's face. Aww. Our forces would crumble under a decrease, and Rumburg would be much more compelled to exploit our weakness. Our country hasn't fallen to any invading force for 200 years. You cannot let it happen, Mr. President. We should find regional allies, like Valgsland or Lesbia, to deter Rumsburg. There are several options on the table. Rumburg wouldn't attack any nation allied with any superpower. Sordland must stand on its own 2 feet and be able to defend itself. These options should be considered. Rumburg wouldn't attack any nation allied with a superpower. Do we want to say a superpower? Lesbia isn't exactly a superpower. Valgsland? I think that's them. Isn't exactly a superpower. Are they a superpower? I thought the superpowers were pretty much Contana and the dudes way down over here somewhere. Arcasia? Rumburg wouldn't attack any nation allied with a superpower. One shudders at the sacrifices they would require us to make. Yes, but what is difference between losing your independence to one or the other? Everyone fell silent when a soldier entered the room and let Josef Lancia know that a call had been made through from the ministry. Excuse me, Mr. President. Josef left the room to answer. A few minutes later, he entered the room again. His expression had changed. Mr. President, there has been Rumburgian military activity close to the Narbel border. I just spoke with the local commander. Vulcan, we should go to the ministry and get further updates from our branches. Understood. Raising military readiness is the first call of action. If there is truly an extraordinary attempt, we will relay it to you immediately and wait for further orders, Mr. President. Make sure they know we are observant and ready. Go and show them the might of the Swordish armed forces, which I refuse to give any money to. Your service is appreciated, gentlemen. Remain calm. Make sure not to escalate things further. Nobody wants a war. We will exercise utmost caution, Mr. President. Hail, Sordland. Hail. Oh, Jesus. They saluted and left the room. Rumburg was already testing us, and the reports from the interior indicate interference inside our borders. Communists, nationalists, bludish rebels, Rumburg expansionism. What was next? Family dinner, that's what's next. Sordland was always, or has always been a key in the chessboard of the global rivalry between Arcasia and United Contana, but in recent years there was no such aggression from Rumburg, not least. These levels at least. All it takes is one tiny spark to start the flames of war. The phone rang. Rumburg had decided to close their consulate in Lakeven. Consulates are expensive, guys. It's a cost-saving measure. It's fine. Well, after that we have gotten a string of worrying messages. There is a threat of a nationwide revolt. Arcasia has developed an intercontinental ballistic missile. There's also some mad, crazy religious group rising up in this region. The economy is unstable. Stability is... ugh. But who cares? We have dinner. After a long day at the palace, I was finally home. I thanked Serge and walked through the front gates, nodding at the two guards as I went by. Even as I turned the doorknob, I could hear Dina rushing down the stairs to greet me. I opened the door, and there she was, standing in front of me with expectant eyes. "Papa, you're home!" "There's my beautiful princess." Lift and hug her. We'll say, beautiful princess. If we demoted her to daughter, it might cause irreparable psychological damage. I lifted Dina and hugged her while trying to put the keys in the tray next to the entrance. She was growing fast. Lifting her up was no longer as easy as it once was. How was school? Boring. I liked my old school better. I put her down and her expression turned serious. "Papa, are the bad men gone?" "It was only one bad man, Dina, and we shot him. I will never let anyone hurt you, ever. Yes, your papa took care of everything." We'll go with the middle one. We won't make campaign promises we can't keep. Dina dashed down the hallway. "Mama, Papa's here." Monica appeared next to the kitchen door. She was wearing an apron and holding a spatula in her hand. "Oh no." "Palace guard, help me, save me." "Dina, what did I tell you? No running in the house." "Yes, Mama." Monica approached me and kissed me on the cheek. A tantalizing smell wafted from the kitchen behind her. "Darling, you shouldn't have. What do we have a cook for?" Yeah. I felt like going grocery shopping, just like old times, and besides, she can't make your favorite like I can. "You mean? Microwave pizza?" Zabla, okay. Zabla was one of my hometown specialities, a chickpea stew topped with beef braised in tomatoes and Bergian spices, traditionally served in a clay pot. Boys, oh boys, did she have to make the pot as well? It was absolutely my favourite dish, especially paired with kibbage, a potent, unfiltered wine from my region. It's my lucky day. Where's the drink? What's the occasion? No occasion. I just wanted to cheer everyone up. Oh god, Frank is depressed, isn't he? Her smile faded and she lowered her voice so that Dina wouldn't hear, especially after what happened at the ball. "I'm worried, Anton. For you, for the children, and for the country. The country could do with kibbage." Dina suddenly appeared next to us. "Mama?" "Yes, sweetheart?" "I'm hungry." "We'll eat in just a minute. Will you help me set the table?" Anton, can you tell Frank to come down for dinner? He's been sulking in his room all day." I forgot to check if anyone's... I don't know if anyone's codexes will start to update over time. What would Frank's codex have said if it had updated? Sulky bitch. Monica started taking out the plates while I headed upstairs to fetch my son. Loud rock and roll music echoed down the hallway. From his room I caught a faint hint of cigarette smoke. Interesting choice. Very interesting choice. We will knock on the door. We'll give him time to hide the evidence and pretend that we can't smell anything. I think that's the duty of a parent. But now, I mean, we gave him a choice. I'm the president. I knock, I open. The door was locked. Oh, the devil. We will be getting the palace guard. Frank, turn down that racket and open the door. The stereo in Frank's room clicked off. Alright, whatever. Stupid, I'm coming. He unlocked and opened the door. "What do you want?" Turn those records up louder next time, won't you? I don't think Bernard Circas heard it in hell. I don't think Tarquain Soll heard it on whatever island he's hiding on. I am your father. I'm your president and you will respond when I ask for you. Hand over the cigarettes and join the family for dinner. I thought there'd be maybe an option of like, now it was like, give me a cigarette and join your family for dinner. Would we go, it's going to be 1 or 4. These are tougher choices than dealing with the government of the country. Dealing with my son. I can run a country, but I can't run a family. I don't want to just say food is ready. Yeah, go on. Give us the cigs and join your family. You smoke, don't you? I'm old enough to do what I want. As long as you live in my presidential palace, you'll do as I command. I'm trying to quit that nasty habit. You ought to stop while you still can. I'm just asking you to wait until you're out of the house. Yeah. Out of the house or no? We'll try and... Frank is Rumsburg. We're trying not to antagonize him. Frank heaved a sigh, handed me the packet and headed downstairs. I followed him to the living room. The table was prepared and Monica was ladling food onto the plates. Come on, have a seat. It won't be as tasty if it's cold. As we started eating, the room went quiet. Monica's cooking was as delicious as ever. But the smell of cigarette smoke off of Frank was overpowering. Monica was the first to break the silence. Say, did you know that they refurbished the grocery store? I don't know if you remember the owner. He's been there every day for the past 30 years. Can you imagine doing the same job for so long? What if you were president for 20 years, for example? Honestly, would that really be so bad? I don't want this country to suffer under another Soll. 20 years of this, I'd be dead. Why not? We could live like kings. Kibej every day. I think as part of constitutional reform. Then again, Catherine Connolly did promise that she was going to put her everything into 1 term. I don't think she explicitly ruled out a 2nd term. But presumably constitutional amendments in Sordland would bring with it term limits. So I don't want this country to suffer under another Soll. Agreed. That must never happen again. Anyway, the grocery... moving on from Tarquain Soll, the grocer really is a nice person. He threw in some extra vegetables with my... Frank suddenly slammed his hands on the table, rattling the plates. Damn you all, we need Soll to come back and sort this out, he declares. So this is how it's going to be. We're just going to sit here like nothing happened. Dad, you could have been killed. Mom could have been killed. Any one of us. I also could have been killed. Dina, yeah, whatever, I don't really care about her. Dina's lower lip started trembling. Monica put her hand on Frank's shoulder. Jesus, lad, cigarette withdrawals or something else. Frank, you know I would never let anything happen to you or Dina, even if it cost me my life. And what would you have us do? And yet, we are all still alive. You will not raise your voice to me, young man. Yeah, I won't let anything happen. I know, but still. Can you at least tell me if something's being done about this? It was real close, Dad. It wasn't. It really wasn't. You don't need to know the details. My security assured me that they took all the necessary steps. It was one rogue shooter. We were not even the target. Yeah. Have you not read the newspapers? But what if we were? Frank, shut up. Monica turned to me. We all have to trust each other. Things calmed down a bit at the table. We finished our food in silence. Frank got up first and retreated back to his room. Monica lifted Dina up and plopped her in front of the living room TV before returning to the table. She sat down across from me. Anton, he is still young. He's 35. Monica, we can't continue babying him like this. He's 35. I know, but there's not much longer. We can shield him from the ugliness of the world. That's what worries me. I made plenty of rash decisions when I was his age. He's had every opportunity I never did, the ungrateful piece of... That's what worries me. You make plenty of rash decisions now too, Frank. Frank's not the only one who's scared, Anton. I promise, if there truly is any threat to this family, you will be the first to know. All you need to worry about is putting more delicious dinner on the table. I worry too, Monica. Things might escalate. No, I promise, if there's any threat, I will tell you first, after the newspapers. She got up, stood behind me, and massaged my shoulders for a moment before leaving me alone in the dining room. I sat alone at the table and drained the bottle of Kibej. Had I been lying to Frank and Dina? Was the threat to my family truly over? Time would tell. And so with a full belly, we're coming towards the end of day 1 at the Maroon Palace. Let's see if we can actually get through the full day. We have some reports to go over. Protests across Sordland. So protests have erupted after the death of Bernard Circasse. Protesters with red youth flags were seen in most central cities around Sordland. Similar protests around Sordland soon turned into violent riots. Protest in Groenie. In response to the assassination of Bernard Circasse, rumours of an infrastructure project. Anonymous sources have reported to Sordland today that several government officials have invited construction companies to meetings regarding a new major infrastructure project. If true, big if true. We hope that very qualified and experienced companies like Underhole Construction win the bid. Real estate giant is owned by the mayor of Conriat, Chris Shar. Most people in Sordland know the name Underhole Construction by the many iconic buildings they've constructed in nearly all the major cities, such as the Children's Hospital. Recently, the company sold half of the shares to Walter Tusk, spokesperson of the Lothersburg Group. I'm sure we'll be getting a call from them so then. The Economist, the wrong economy. The government has made its decision to promote a planned economy, a decision which is based on flawed arguments of Solonomics. God bless him. Now, before anyone calls us Arcasia sympathizers, we don't support the excessive form of capitalism in Arcasia is spreading around the world like in Lesbia. Our belief is that my belief is that a balance can exist. Underhole Construction, once again, number 1, even though it has just announced its 11th postponement of the completion of the Children's Hospital. Also mentioned the recent addition of Heart of Sordland organisation, Marcel Caranti, to the board of advisors. His father, Caranti, died in the middle of a meeting that we were having on the last episode. 13% increase in growth compared to last year. That's the problem. If they're putting Carant on there, or Caranti, I bet we're going to get some underhanded shenanigans from these lads, and the encouragement is going to be to give them the position. Political chaos. Political violence has surrounded Sordland since yesterday. While officials from the police claim to have the situation under control, protests are turning into riots. NFP and LUS call for protests. So the National Front Party are trying to call a rally to condemn communist influence. On the other hand, the Labour Union of Sordland has gathered to condemn the nationalist violence. Young swords vandalise shops. Economist report on this. You were saying the businesses need to be saved. And the NFP office is burned. Gang violence claims young girl's life. A 15-year-old girl was shot dead in Narble, as she walked her dog a few blocks away from her apartment. The police said the shooting, which occurred in an area afflicted with the gang Coronelli, or affiliated with them. So this was, I presume, one of the two families that we didn't look at. Shot around 4:45 p.m. right before she was returning home. A man who witnessed the event told police the shooters yelled gang slogans at him on the street before he heard someone fire at least 10 shots. He later saw that the victim had been hit and called the authorities. And so they have been in operation since the 1880s. Well, this has escalated very quickly. Unrest in Sordland. Hundreds of nationalists descended on the PFJP party office in Arveroy. Protesters have gathered to condemn the murder of Circasse, the real truth behind the economic crisis. Oh, finally, somebody's saying stuff that we need to listen to. Large corporate business, time and again, receive money from the government under the disguise of helping the economy. But what about the people? Yeah, what about the people? 1927, never again. I was there when Lutheran and Reichardt clashed in the plains outside of Holsword, when the armies of Sordish people killed each other. I was there when Soll won the war after bombarding cities with Sordish civilians inside them. We saw this great nation fall into bloodshed and chaos. We thought that we learned our lesson and formed a new republic, but one man's idea became the idea of the state, and we allowed it to be forced upon us. We cannot forget when Lutheran declared martial law in 27, when his tanks rolled and murders took place. Those tanks cannot roll again. Bombs cannot fall again. Freedoms cannot be suspended again. 1927. Never again. Rumburg closes consulate, and nothing of value was lost. We can... I presume we go from the top, or from the bottom up, really. We react to the unrest, and then we end the day? Would that make sense? The political situation around the country has escalated. Chief Strategist Lucien Galad has prepared several action plans that we can execute. What will we do to address the intensifying political climate? I was going to ask, is do nothing an option? Reject the plans, down at the bottom. Call for restraint on national television. Visit affected towns in person. Label all protesters as traitors. Expand the police by deploying all recruits in training. Call for restraint on the telly. Visit the affected towns in person. The personal touch is what's either going to solve this problem or get us killed, or both. So we still have the end of day. We have a report from Contanin. CSP faction spotlights workers' rights and report. Released a report onto workers' rights within its member nations. Document provides detailed analysis of workers' rights and labour conditions within CSP member nations. Well, there you go. Morella expresses condolences for Circasse. So in the wake of Bernard Circasse's untimely passing, Prime Minister Alma Sultana of Morella conveyed heartfelt condolences to the people of Sordland. The leader recognised Circasse as an influential poet and advocate of Malinjevist ideas, lamenting his loss as a blow to the literary and political world. She called for the memorialization of Circasse's contribution to social discourse and reaffirmed Morella's commitment to the ideals he espoused. Oh, so I thought there was going to be an actual response to the us wandering around the streets. Right, end of day at the Maroon Palace. It was late in the evening. The Maroon Palace was finally getting somewhat quiet when I returned to my office. At the top, I eagerly approached my chair and sprawled out on it. It had been an exhausting day, just like every day since I took office. Light a cigarette, pour some whiskey, lean back and relax. Yeah, we're gonna get trashed. Pour some whiskey for myself and had a sip. It felt like the best salve after a long day of work. I glanced downwards out the window and saw Serg and the guards waiting for me by the main gate. I heard a couple of knocks on the door. My secretary, Livia Suno, entered. She has fantastic assets. Peter Vectron, I believe, reassured us. Mr. President, Mr. Tusk is here to see you. You had a meeting with the Lotharburg spokesman. I'm so sorry for not giving you proper notice. Don't worry about it. Do your job properly next time. Those assets will only get you so far. I was just about to leave. Maybe we can just postpone. We'd better, yeah. Don't worry about it. Thank you for your understanding. After a moment, Mr. Tusk swaggered into the room. I'd met Sordland's most prominent businessman once or twice, but never alone. He had large jowls, blindingly shiny shoes, and the air of someone who was used to getting his way. Anything to drink, Mr. Tusk? Water? Whiskey? Cognac. Preferably from before you were born, sweetheart. Oh, a man of taste. I'll check the supply room. Livia backed out of the office, shooting me an apologetic look. As she did so, if I knew there was cognac here, I would have gone for that instead of the whiskey. Walter hung up his hat, which I could see was lined with mink. He fixed me a long, hard stare, then broke into a toothy grin. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to congratulate you. I'm sure you are, Walter. I'm sure you are. Walter, do you read the newspapers? Did you hear rumors, Walter, about an infrastructure project? My business partners and I wish you a successful term as leader of our nation. I'm sure you do, Mr. Tusk. Thank you, Mr. Tusk. I had no chance to say this at the ball with all the panic. I really admire the way you and your family cowered behind that table in sheer and utter terror. It really marks you out as a fantastic leader of our nation. We were very much looking forward to working with you. Thank you. I'd like to build a profitable relationship between us. That being said, there are some concerns of mine and the people I represent, which I would like to take this opportunity to clear up. Mr. President, what does planned economy mean? The people you represent? You know that I represent the Lotharburg Group, Mr. President, but of course, these concerns are not limited to them. The ruined state of the economy in Sordland has influenced everyone. The recession hit us all hard. Walter pulled out a box of cigars from his jacket. I had these brought from Lesbia, the best cigars in the whole continent. Would you like to try one? Boy, howdy would I, but we did tell Frank we were going to give up. If we go home smelling of cigar smoke. You go ahead. I don't want to smoke. I will inhale everything though. Wait, no, well, I'm still going to smell a cigar. No, I'm still going to go home smelling a cigar smoke, and I won't have the enjoyment of a cigar. God damn it. Walter grabbed himself a cigar and lit it. He looked out towards the city scenery as he puffed away. I should restart this playthrough now if I'm going to smell a cigar smoke, but not get to... I'm going to restart the playthrough. This is the first decision that's maybe consider restarting the playthrough. I heard that you purchased... Oh, no. From Aberdeen Industries in Arcasia. Smart buy. Smart boy and smart buy. They are developing new gadgets that are going to be profitable. With risk comes reward. I expect a very good return on investment. Spend money to make money, they say. Let's see if it holds true. I figured why not take a chance with my entire family's income. It's much worse to live with regret and what ifs. I will buy a couple of thousand shares too to expand my portfolio. Hope the investment pays off for both of us, Mr. President. His eyes wandered away for a moment. The assassination... yeah, now we move on to less important stuff than shares. The assassination and the troubles between the left and right are worrying, but the recession is the root of these issues. Unfortunately, I would agree that I would have expected that either the Minister for Justice or the Interior would have brought that up, that fixing the economy, actually the Minister for the Interior, that fixing the economy would help to mitigate a lot of the problems. For us, it is worrying to see that you have decided to promote a planned economy. The recession was triggered by the market reforms of Alfonso. We need more government control to fix the economy. I don't mind that we disagree on the economy. The recession was triggered by the market reforms? I don't think so. We need more government control to fix the economy. I also don't think so. I don't mind that we disagree. Neither do I. But you know how much capital Lotharburg represents. Even though you're pursuing this path, you're going to need further market investments to boost the economy. He leaned forward in his chair. The high-speed rail investment was a great decision. The business logistics will improve and boost the economy once finished. You see, Walter, you see, I'm not a crazy communist. Just crazy. The intention of the administration is to boost the economy. Our goal was to focus on the needs of businesses. The Greater Hallsword and Gelsword regions needed better links. I don't want to discuss our intentions to an outsider. The intention of the administration is to boost the economy. That's the priority, but along moderate planned economic lines. The right intention, for sure. We can be close allies. The group. Is that still the... yeah. The group, as we call the Lotharbur group, can help you get Sordland out of recession, which will be the key problem to solve in your term and could even determine your re-election. Let's start with a gesture of goodwill. Soon, the investment project contract will be awarded to one of the 3 main contenders. He pulled a check out of his pocket and slid it towards me on the table. My personal bank details were listed. Oh, I thought this was what he was saying. My personal bank details were listed on it with a deposit of 500,000 Swordish Ren ready to be transferred. This was 6 months of a president's salary. If the construction contract were somehow awarded to Underhall Construction, they would not only work hard and deliver, but also do it on time. What do you think, Mr. Rain? Wouldn't that be good? He put his index finger on the check. There was a noise by the door. Livia Suno was standing there holding a tray with a bottle and 2 glasses. I'm so sorry, Mr. Tusk, but all I could find was a 1942 Sevigny? I hope that's acceptable. She quickly put the tray on the table, on the desk, and walked out. Tusk eyed her as she left. Fantastic assets, Mr. Tusk, wouldn't you agree? Remind me to visit your office more often. Now, where were we? Do we have a deal? Indeed, Mr. Tusk. I am looking forward to our future transactions. Take the bribe. Not yet. We both know you can do better than that amount. No, I will make my own decision. Did you just try to bribe the president of Sordland? I refuse. So yeah, again, we're gonna play this as we would imagine a Catherine Connolly presidency. We will take the bribe. No, I will make my own decisions. Well, I don't want to get all high and mighty with him. We are going to have to keep business on side, and this is the way that business would have operated up to now, is through bribes. By saying, no, I will make my own decision, which could very well be Underhall Construction. We are declaring that we're going to make it free of bribery. We will make the decisions that will best affect the people. I'm not going to go and get all high and mighty. There's going to be a changing in the ways. I will make my own decision. Walter sighed and pulled the check away, putting it in his pocket. Did you think that I was just another corrupt politician? If this is what you came for, then we are done here. Thank you for your visit nonetheless. Be careful, Tusk, or you will have to make your deals in a prison cell. Again, this is the way that he expected things were done. I don't think there's any point in antagonizing him. So I'm not going to go for... even for either of the two of those. I'll say thank you for your visit nonetheless, I would say. If this is what you came for, then we are done. That's a bit too antagonistic. Thanks for calling. Have some cognac. Make sure to call again. It was good to share opinions. We will meet again in the future, for sure. Oh, I almost forgot. Please say hello to Mr. Caranti for me. You meet Caranti. When am I going to meet Caranti? He smiled. Why doesn't he attend the thing, no? The Lotharbur group. Have a good evening, President. Walter stood up, grabbed his jacket, and made his way towards the door? Was it his jacket or his hat that was lined with mink? He closed the door behind him. I gathered my things and prepared to finally head home. As I walked out, I noticed Livia still there, covering up her typewriter for the evening. If I may be so bold, Mr. President, did you accept his offer? That is absolutely none of your business. Of course I didn't. How could you even ask me that? Do not ever speak about it again. You didn't see anything. Of course I didn't. Even though we should have slapped her and said whatever the first option was. The other girls have told me about all kinds of dealings that went on during the Alfonso administration. I wasn't sure if you were that kind of president. I most certainly am not. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. I most certainly am not, Livia. She and I took a moment to look out over the lights of the city before heading to the elevators. And so a new day dawns? ? I'm not too sure if we're actually into a new day or not. We have an economic relief plan to sort out, an act to ease the economic hardship felt in the country. In the capital, we have a meeting with Mr. Caronti, presidential state car, road to Conriat, and we have the finalization of the L1 railway contract and read a report into local police working with nationalists. Oh God. And then we have a number of reports from the Grand Duchy of Pales and Narble. So that's where a young girl was killed. I can't remember, was that nationalist or was that... So there's a situation report from Narble. So I'm going to leave that for the next episode. There's that rock. There's where the prison is. The Gelsland region. Antel Rock Prison. Antel Rock is the most secure maximum security prison in Sordland, mostly reserved for political criminals. So that was mentioned there a while ago. Dwellin Arg is based there, so I was thinking it was maybe up there. There's another rock. Oh, there's a rock of something up there. The Rock of Cashel. This world's version of the Rock of Cashel. Right, I'm going to leave it there for this episode. Really enjoyed that one. Interesting fallout from the political assassination. We're beginning now to start having various different things thrown at us. It's going to be tough to not antagonize, to keep big business on side. Corruption is rife. We want to make them understand that we're going to play by the books, but we also have to kind of make sure that nobody gets sick of us. It's fine if they're assassinating independent members of Parliament. If they come after me, that's going to be the problem. If big business gets it into its head that maybe replacing the Reign regime with a more business-friendly regime, so we don't want to make ourselves business-unfriendly, so it's entirely possible under whole construction, if they are the best, could win that contract. And we would have passed up 500,000 smackers that we could be investing in foreign companies. But there you go. I'd be interested to hear how my decisions, or if my decisions, have differed massively from the decisions that anybody else has made up to this point that has played through. I'm looking forward to getting this done and actually looking into some playthroughs. I haven't watched any playthroughs because I don't want to spoil myself and ruin them. Or ruin this playthrough, so I'd be interested to see what kind of decisions other people make. And I wonder if there are decisions that I'll make that will, I presume there is, that will lock off certain areas. So certain things will appear in this playthrough or will be cut off from me in this playthrough that would require another playthrough. Something I wouldn't mind doing, and maybe trying to play as either a different historical character or maybe even just, like, how would I do it? How would I make my decisions? Whiskey, that's it, just 24/7, just whiskey. If the word whiskey appears in an option, that's it. That's what I do. Thank you all very much for joining me on this episode. And I hope to speak to you again on the next one. I hope that you will bring some shovels and some pickaxes, because we have a railway contract to start into, and you have to dig the line.